So since I haven't done a starter episode yet, this will be my first one. I know I said a couple weeks ago that I was going to do a podcast, but due to a surgery and healing process and other circumstances that we'll go over today, couldn't get into it. So most of you, or some of you, know exactly what's been going on with me. So about 15 years ago, I was coaching Pee-wee wrestling and Pee-wee football, and either during one of the practices of football and wrestling, I got nailed in the nuts pretty good. I'm kind of remembering it was wrestling practice, but I don't remember it too good because so many times getting nailed. And it was a weekend tournament in Ferndale, Washington. I was living in Everett at the time, drove up there, and I wasn't able to urinate, so I got rushed to the hospital from the wrestling tournament because I'm male and Swedish, so thinking it was a kidney stone and it passed, and it didn't. So a couple other coaches took me there and found out that I had a stricture, which is basically scar tissue in my urethra, and for some of you that is your pee tube. So what had happened is that I got nailed and my pelvic bone pinched my urethra inside my pelvis, and it caused some damage, plus on top of kidney stones, because energy drinks are a coach's best friend way back when. The scar tissue developed and it closed off my urethra, and I wasn't able to urinate. So for 15 years I've been dealing with going in and having that surgery done, which entails a laser going in and cutting out the scar tissue, having a catheter in for anywhere from a month to 2 months. And there's nothing in this world that could get me in a darker spot than having that catheter in for more than a month. So for 15 years, as of last year, 2019, every 2 years I would go in and have the surgery done. So 2019 was going to be my year again, and it always happens in the summertime, which it really sucks because, one, it's summer, I want to go out and do stuff, and two, I'm stuck with the catheter in the hottest time of the year. Even though I live in the Pacific Northwest, it does get hot, and having to wear pants, and because you gotta pissing on your ankle and all that other fun stuff that goes along with having the catheter and surgery. So my insurance company decided that they would kind of fight my urologist on, I wasn't at the 2-year mark, so they wanted to wait, which brings on another little fun aspect of if you have a stricture you get to deal with, and that is called dilation, where there's 2 different types. One, they have this knitting needle with a razor blade that they insert, and there's 6 different sizes that you could do, and you just go in and you basically punch it to break up the scar tissue. Nowadays, thank God, they have balloons that will go in and stretch it out, which I don't know. I don't like the razor blade because it always brought on different types of infections, but at the same time, it's going to hurt no matter what. So, my urologist fighting with my insurance company, me trying to get the insurance company to give it to me, and my urologist found a specialist over in Seattle that had looked at my file and said that he could probably fix me permanently. So the Monday before Thanksgiving of 2019, I go in for my first meeting, run a bunch of tests, comes back and gives me the best news I could possibly hear at that time, was that he was going to give me a 92% chance of not seeing a urologist for 20 years and 8% chance of not seeing one for 15 years. So I got signed up for surgery. It was going to be it was December 30th. And basically what they were going to do is take a chunk of my cheek and make an incision in my parabellum, or my taint, and replace the scar tissue that they cut out with my skin graft, which is all fine. That's why you haven't heard from me yet. My mouth is healed, but scar tissue in my cheek is kind of rough, and I can't really eat anything quite yet, but everything else is a-okay. So on the 31st, I had to stay the night in the hospital because of everything, just to make sure that wasn't going to spring a leak or no issues with my mouth or my catheter. So shift change on the 31st at 7 o'clock in the morning. I told the nurse I wanted to get up and walk because I was tired of laying around feeling lazy in the hospital bed. She said perfect. She'd come back after her rounds and get me up and running. So around 8 o'clock, it felt like I was in the movie Aliens, where it felt like something was about to blast out of my chest. I had had a panic attack in the past. I was kind of thinking it was a panic attack, but it wasn't. I could feel my heart rate just increasing. I was sweating uncontrollably. I was laying down on that nurse button like there was no tomorrow because I couldn't calm myself down. Of course, you say something about your heart inside of a hospital, and you're going to have 90 people in there in about 3 seconds. So they hooked me up to the EKG, started taking blood to make sure I wasn't having a heart attack, and they sent me downstairs for an echogram, or whatever it's called. I should get used to it. I'm going to have quite a few of these. But sent me back upstairs after that. The cardiologist that was on call came in and said, good news, you're not having a heart attack, but we're going to set you up for a stress test as soon as you get out of here to find out exactly what's going on. But didn't know that they had already found the problem when I was in there, and they didn't tell me, or they didn't know at the time because no one really read the echo yet. So I was sent home that day. A week later, I went in for my stress test. And if any of you had a stress test, it's kind of a little bit of a process, although I didn't get to experience the full weight of the stress test. First, you get an echo after you get shaved again and hooked up to EKG. So while you're having your EKG done, you're getting an echo. After the tech that gets done doing my echo, he leaves and for about 5 minutes and comes back in with the nurse, and everybody tells me that I'm not having my stress test. So at that point, I just turned 43, so now I'm starting to panic and getting ready, and they're telling me that the cardiologist doesn't want me to leave. He's going to see me, and that I just need to wait in the waiting room, and he'll see me when he can. So get pushed to the end of the day, which is fine. 2 hours of cooling my heels and freaking out, texting my sister and a couple other people, telling them that something's wrong, and I don't know what yet, but something is wrong. So go back. The resident for the cardiologist gets me first. He starts grilling me about my family history. Once again, some of you know that my mom had heart issues. She had a major stroke, and that's what got her in the end. My dad's had a heart attack. My brother's had a heart attack. And that's basically it on the heart aspect of everything. And he said, okay, well, let me go get the cardiologist, and we'll discuss things a little bit further. So another 5 minutes passes. Cardiologist comes in with a box of Kleenex. Resident comes in. The nurse comes in with a couple glasses of water. And that's when my heart absolutely hit the floor. No pun intended. And he sat down and asked me one last time, anybody in my family that I know of die of anything heart related that was never diagnosed? And I told him no. Then he started explaining to me what I can't even pronounce it. It's called HCM. If you want to Google that, that's a fun read for the night. And he starts explaining symptoms to me, which, looking back, because at that point all I could hear was the Charlie Brown teacher voice, because I've heard of HCM before, because one, I coached Pee Wee sports, and that's the young kids are the ones that have been getting it pronounced or getting it diagnosed quicker, because they're the ones that have been dropping in the middle of games and dying on the court and football fields and all that. And basically what it is it's your thickening of your walls of your heart. It's either on the left or the right ventricle. And if you have it on the right side, that's going to be the in valve, where there's actually some kind of hope where they could actually shock you back and everything will kind of right itself. And then there's the left side, which is the out valve, where if it gets triggered, your heart the wall shuts off the out valve and your heart just fills up with blood, and that's going to be pretty much the end of it. So it's been almost 4 weeks now that I've been diagnosed with it. Learned quite a lot about it. Do appreciate everybody's little insights of, oh, you should eat better and get up and start walking. But unfortunately, that is not how this one works. You can't eat your way out of it. You don't eat your way into it. It's passed down to you. And grilling anybody that in my family that I can think of that would actually have a inkling of what's going on, to try to find out which side of the family it came from. So I don't have kids, but my sister does, and I don't want this for her kids. So now that we know that it's in our family, they can get tested and go from there if either any of them have it. But some people have noticed that there's a little change in me. I'm kind of in my anger phase at the moment, so I'm kind of pissy and fired up to get people off their ass and start doing stuff for their business, which I'm also doing for myself. As you can now tell that I'm sitting in my car and it's starting to rain, and I'm starting my podcast in the car, which it shows you that you can actually do it yourself, and it doesn't take anything to get this going. So depending on traffic and my mouth situation and how tired I am, you could be hearing from me every single day. Who knows? But we're going to cover lots of things. We're going to be covering stuff to make your computer run faster, how to get your website off the ground, or if your traffic is not where it needs to be, we will get your traffic up to par. And basically we're going to get you off your ass and get you start making some content to put out there so people will start going to your website. Doesn't matter what you're selling, what you're doing on the web. If you have a business, you need to have content. Period. End of story. End of discussion. I don't care who the hell tells you different. You need content. I don't care about SEO. I don't care about how many likes you have on Facebook, because all that shit doesn't matter. You need content. Period. Content that's going to help your customers. And there's no company on this face of the earth that is going to write content for you that knows your business more than you will. So I don't want to hear about, I'm just going to pay somebody to write content for me. You write the content. You talk about the content. You talk to your people to get them on your website to buy your service. End of the story. So I guess we're going to go ahead and cut it here. I think that's good enough for one podcast today. And like I said, if you want to start a podcast, I'm going to start posting on my website, vikingwebproductions.com, and people don't know how to drive, and I'm podcasting while I'm driving. Yeah, so that's fun. Yeah, like I said, I'll be posting tutorials on how to get this podcast app on your phone and how to use it and how to make it worthwhile for you so you can actually do it very quickly. All right, we'll talk to you later.